Where is that fucking mud of yours? Off chasing fire trucks? Or is he off humping some guy's leg?
Every first-person shooter needs its hook, and the Dead to Rights series has been no different. The Max Payne vibe of the early games has left the series through the generation jump, but one unique piece of the original games remains: Shadow. In what would otherwise feel like a very by-the-numbers shooter, Shadow, your canine partner, adds an additional element to the game, which goes a little bit beyond what you get from the usual dullard AI companion. He can be directed to attack and also retrieve weapons. Both can be lifesavers when set upon by a large number of very well armoured enemies, especially since you're generally very low on ammo. But Shadow is no wonder dog, but unlike most AI characters, he can slow down your targets and often defeat the weaker ones rather quickly. He can take a lot of damage, which is very useful when he wanders into the line of fire. Several times throughout the story you are given the chance to take control of your canine companion in stealth missions. These have you infiltrating a base as Shadow to try and find something to help the lead character, Jack Slate, progress. Shadow has the superpower to see through walls, but this doesn't make these sections much less frustrating. The AI's behaviour is just so erratic and unpredictable that it becomes pretty hard to build up any kind of reasonable strategy, and you'll often have to resort to some kind of trial and error to find out what works. This can be pretty irritating later on in the game, as unlike the combat sections, you'll be going a long way back to the last checkpoint. As I said earlier, the main combat is rather typical. It's a third-person shooter with cover mechanics, regenerating health, and a lead character so bulked up that his arms grow out of his torso like tree trunks.
Faith, listen. You make that call. Your career's on the line. There's no going back. It's over.
There's a lot of different guns lying around that you're constantly switching between as your ammo levels are kept on a very short leash, but there's not a great variety between the guns themselves. There's also some hand-to-hand combat which has been improved from the previous games. It feels a lot more deeper and fleshed out, but it still feels rather forced as unarmed targets run great distances towards you just to fight you in hand-to-hand, and you just pick them off with a handgun. There is a lot about Dead to Rights that's over the top and cliché, such as the B-movie plot and its direction, as well as the equally over the top bosses.
You can not kill me, Mr. Policeman.
Fortunately, the voice acting isn't that bad. Dead to Rights Retribution might not sound like that bad of a game on paper, and indeed it's not, but it's also not that great either. The largest part about the game is the combat, and that really doesn't feel that gratifying, and just isn't as much fun as it could be. With so many great action games already out there, Dead to Rights Retribution becomes just a little bit too hard to recommend.
Give it up for fuck.